I have a couple of unorthodox ways or tips or techniques to get out of writer's block that I use. But I was curious if you had any initial thoughts on how you get out of your writer's block. Are you in writer's block currently? All that.
Well, so I feel like if you're a creative, not even just a writer, you're always going to hit some sort of creative block. Whether you're a musician, whether you make films, whether you write, whatever. And I feel like you're always in an ebb and flow of that. And it's kind of impossible not to, because you have to, you can only pull so much creativity out of yourself until you're going to hit a wall. And then you've got to wait a minute. You got to rest. You got to give your brain a moment, and then you kind of pick it up again. So everything kind of ebbs and flows. But the best way for me to work through writer's block that I've found is to read my story. So if I don't know how else to go, then either going back over my outline and not working on it, just read through what I've done, and then actually read through my prose, because you leave clues for yourself as you read of where you should go. So I've done this many times where it's like I'm writing, and then I'm like, gosh, I have no idea where to go with this. I don't know where this is leading. I've lost what the focus is. And then I'll go back and just start reading it basically from the beginning. And eventually, most of the time, I come across something that kind of like, kind of kicks you and gives you like we could go this way with it. I feel it's kind of like that scene in Lord of the Rings with Gandalf where they're in Moria and he doesn't know which way to go, and so they just sit there, and then finally he's like, it's that way. Of
course.
I feel like that's how writer's block resolves. Is you're just like stuck. You're so stuck that all you can do is just sit in front of it and do nothing. And then finally you're just like, it's that way.
It's so obvious.
So, that's kind of my go-to. There's a couple of things. One of the things I do too is I will just put it away, go do something else, go to bed. Like all those things are very good. Like go sit out in the grass and chill for a minute.
But what happens if you are constantly putting it away and then you realize it's been like 2 years?
Well, so that's the trick is so one of the things I've been thinking to myself recently is if I go do something like that, or if I put it away or whatever, I ask myself this question, which is, am I escaping from the work, or do I actually need this break?
Right. I once heard it, are you escaping from something, or are you running towards something?
Well, and it's because you do need breaks. Like we need, you need to sit for a half hour and do nothing. You need to take those mental, like we're way too connected in our world. Like people scrolling social media, our brains are constantly being fried with information. And so we need more of those breaks. But the question is, are you using the break because you actually need it, or are you using it to just not do the work, to procrastinate? And that's always the toughest question. And you can ask that question about anything. You can ask that about any of the work you do, whether it's just your job or any other creative endeavor or doing your dishes,